At SHN Sports, we like utilizing wireless cameras to improve the quality of our live streams. Sometimes the wireless camera is the second camera angle on the floor. We prefer wireless cameras, especially for cameras that need to be nearby people in a closed setting, such as a sport field of play. Why wireless, though? Isn't hardwire better? Yes, it is, sort of. SHN's ideal camera setup is usually our AG-CX10 connected via HDMI to our ATEM Mini Pro. But what if you need to set up a camera far away from your computer capture card? Sure, you could attempt to run a long HDMI cable, but if your capture card is in a press box and your camera needs to be hundreds of feet away, that would require setting up a very long HDMI connection. So how do you send the signal from a far distance camera to your broadcast location without HDMI cables? SHN uses wireless transmitters, and recently we've been using the Swift800 Pro by Crystal Video. You can input either HDMI or SDI into the wireless transmitter and it'll send a signal via Wi-Fi up to an advertised 800 feet to the receiver, which also has the HDMI or SDI option out to then plug into your capture card. We haven't tested this particular baseball scenario yet, but in upcoming reviews we will look forward to testing the Swift800 Pro as the center field camera, which usually needs to be about 500 feet from our computer. The Swift800 Pro is also very well built. Both the receiver and the transmitter are very easy to use and connect to a variety of camera setups such as on top of the camera or on a gimbal arm. The Swift800 Pro so far has been impressive. I tested it out before a high school football playoff game as soon as I got my hands on it. Here is the distance test in a very optimal setting of a football field. So we are giving it a shot. It is the Swift800 Pro. We're putting it on the AG-CX10. As you can see here, we are wirelessly transmitting. We have it coming through channel 2 here on my ATEM Mini, and we are also running it through a wireless transmitter. You can see we're up here in the press box. Let's go ahead and give this thing a shot out on the field and on the film deck. So as I walk out, I'm going to just keep an eye on the nice LCD screen that lets me know whether or not it's receiving signal and transmitting it out. So we're gonna head out outside and see how it works. I fully expect transmission to be lost here because we're going down a stairwell, and honestly, wireless transmitters out of plain sight don't always do too well. We're still on channel 4, and sometimes you just have to reconnect, go outside. So as you can see, we are now outside. And the football team is here. So ideally, this video transmitter will be used as a sideline camera here for football. We don't have a sideline camera operator tonight, but we're still going to go ahead and give it a shot. As you can see, that is the press box. And we are located up there. If you can see, that's my computer. And we're down here on the sideline. Let's go ahead and take it on the other side of the field and see how it works. So here we are on the opposite side of the field of the press box. We're on the 3rd floor of the press box, and we're on the field level of the stadium. So let's go ahead and see how far away we are now. You can see that that is the press box where my computer is set up and the broadcast is happening. And here we are on the opposite side of the field. And if you know your football, you know that the field is 50 yards across, which comes out to about 150 feet across. So if you count the field, that's 150 yards. We're probably a solid 15 yards away from the field right now. So add on another handful of yards and we should still be within that 800-foot range. And we're just going to go ahead and
keep on walking across. So rough estimate is that we are about as far away from the broadcast location as this camera transmitter would go in a typical use for football. And let's go ahead and see how far we are. As you can see, we are on the end zone, and there is the area where I've set up my broadcast location. So we're still pretty far away, and if we can get that far, oh, that's awesome. Let's go back upstairs and see how we did.
That particular football broadcast, the main film deck was full, so we had to set up our broadcast angle camera below us. That's when the wireless camera came in handy to send us our signal. Connecting any wireless camera without direct line of sight is not ideal, but the Swift800 Pro performed well, only occasionally losing signal partially, which is more or less going to happen at some point when you're using a wireless camera, but the Swift800 Pro does a good job reconnecting as soon as possible. So far, I'm really liking the Swift800 Pro. It is a budget-friendly wireless transmitter and a solution to needing to have to set up hundreds of feet of HDMI cable. Plus, Crystal Video comes out with updates that can potentially make their product better, which I love to see. Subscribe to SHN Sports for more real-world examples of the Swift800 Pro in sports broadcasting, as this will be an ongoing review series.